Hello all, this is Ashley. I'm just going to describe what my project was about. I did a lesson plan and a presentation on the first 2 days of school for an Algebra 2 class. So this first page is just the lesson plan. So it's just your normal first day of school. You're going to welcome the students. So just reading this outline here, you're going to welcome the students and then have them do a little entrance task where they fill out a student profile, which I'll show you in a second, and go through the introduction of myself, play some icebreaker games. I'm going to do a Skittles activity, which you'll see in a line in blob icebreaker. Go through the normal routine of what every day would look like for the majority of the year, and then finally hand out the syllabus. So this sheet here is the student profile. So when the students come in, they will grab this from the front desk and they'll fill this out while I'm greeting other students at the door. So they just fill out their grades, what's going on in their life. Obviously, probably the most important for me, I have access to all their old grades, but it's nice to see if they actually remember and what their grades are, and I just have them pulled up in their student profile. Goals is obviously a big thing too. Make sure they know how to set goals, make them realistic. And then obviously just getting to know students down here where they're trying to have a relationship. Next, this is the syllabus, so I made it kind of generic where it's the blank high school and year to year. So just your normal syllabus, going through the introduction, making sure they know when the Regents is on that blank date. Go through the classroom expectations, which is in the PowerPoint. Some classroom materials. The quarter grades are here. So this is a school policy where I am. Obviously that would differ per school. Then just the back page that the parents and students have to sign. We do have access to phone numbers and emails on what's called Power School. However, some of them are not up to date, so it's nice to also be referencing some of what the parents' new phone numbers or new emails are. This is the second day lesson plan, so just going again through the outline. So we'd go through an entrance task of taking out the syllabus, which was their homework the night before, and asking any clarifications they need. And then make sure I address the main points of the syllabus if they don't have any questions. Change any seats for students that misbehaved the first day or anything like that. Go through some questions to figure me out, which makes them apply some algebra and geometry questions. Show some examples of Algebra 2 questions. And then explain why algebra is important to learn, which is using what we did in our class this semester. So this is now onto the PowerPoint. So just this basic introductory slide. So this is slide 1, this is slide 2. This 4 square thing here is a staple we use at my school. So every day this is what they'll see when they walk in. So the entrance test just for that first day is to find a seat and start filling out that student profile sheet, the objectives, the homework. Then next I would go through my name, talk about myself briefly, and would get more into detail about that tomorrow. It's just kind of explaining these pictures, right? I love candy, love Christmas, and those are probably my favorite colors. So just basic facts that lead them into their icebreakers where they have to talk about themselves. From there, the Skittles activity. So I have a big bag of Skittles. Everyone grabs 2 from the bag and it's passed around the room. Once they have their 2 Skittles, they're going to state their name and then share an appropriate response based on the color of the Skittles that they get. I've done this for the past couple years. Most of the kids just say their name and spill their answers, and it's really quick and fast because they're still getting those first day jitters out. So it takes less than a minute per person. Next is the line and blob icebreaker, so they just try to line up by birthdays without talking, so really working on making sure they can collaborate and work together. And then next, it looks like it caught off down here, but this bottom section says go to the middle if you don't like candy at all. So let's go to the left of the room if you like chocolate candy, go to the right side if you like the non-chocolate candy, and then stay in the middle if you don't like candy. Just again, a little icebreaker, but they're still going to sides. Next is more of like the applied mathematics stuff. So go to the left side of the room if you agree with it, go to the right if you disagree, and then be able to talk within those groups and explain why they chose which one they did. Obviously, if you're looking at this, it's wrong. Hey, there's parts that are right. This bottom part's right because they didn't do it. They just used like their head to explain, hey, this equation's wrong, so someone would have to be able to justify that. Next, you have a more geometry-based blob icebreaker. So going to the left, right again. Hey, this is wrong. A lot of them have misconceptions about y equals 0, which they'll need for Algebra 2 at some point. So it's good to go over that. Next, moving into the everyday classroom procedures. So just breakdown of what an everyday should look like. Again, reading that 4 square that's going to be there. Get their assigned calculators, which is in like a little shoe hanger thing to organize them. And in the end, I would hand out the syllabus, start reading through the syllabus if we had time. Other than that, just have students read it by their own because they should be able to read at this point, and then come back tomorrow with questions. On to day 2, again, this 4 square that they need to be able to get used to seeing every single day. And then starting off with our syllabus questions. Again, making sure that go over the date in case no one addresses it. And making sure they know they have to hand in that last page of the syllabus. Here are some just classroom expectations. Pretty self-explanatory. And next is the opportunity for the kids to figure stuff out about me. So they would answer, they'd have to like solve these questions. For this first one, they should get A equals 2 for February. They should get B equals 5 for February 5th. And then here where they're solving for the siblings, so this is the systems, and they should get x equals 3, and then I'd explain I have 3 brothers. And then more of the geometry based actually turns into a quadratic, so it'd be nice to see if they remember how to factor and all of that. And they should get x equals 3, and I would explain that I've been to Asia to go to China, and I've been to Europe to go to both Paris and Italy, and then obviously the United States. Then going over some example questions from Algebra 2, I would explain both of these because they've seen similar questions. So kind of explain how for factoring, we're now going to have to do something called factor by grouping instead of just your basic trinomials and binomials. And here how we're kind of expanding into quadratics, how to get quadratics from those radicals. Again, this is building on some geometry aspects, so I would kind of explain that, show the procedure. Where these next two, they've probably never heard of before. They've talked about cosine in geometry, so it's nice to, again, relate to that, where I would just kind of show them this problem. I don't think I would go through an answer because they'd be super confused. Same thing here, right? More of applying it to real world. They've talked about it a little bit in Algebra 1, and then telling them that we have to expand in order to get to Algebra 2. Okay, lastly, explaining why algebra is important. This quote is from one of the articles we had to read for class. I really liked that, so I wanted to make sure I included it. and then kind of giving them examples where some of the algebra stuff is used in real life. And then for their exit ticket for day 2, they would write their name on a half sheet of paper and then write down 2 different ideas or ways that they'll be able to apply mathematics on their own after graduating high school. And these were just 2 funny memes or pictures or whatever that students have misconceptions on, right? This one's just funny. And then most of them think this is 35 cents. That is all.